Welcome to an overview of Team Evaluation Measure Selection. This module is designed to support team configurers, principals, and teachers in the appropriate selection of growth measures and the selection and scaling of achievement measures. Measure selection is an important part of the team evaluation model, which depends on student growth scores, student achievement scores, and teacher observation scores to create a well-rounded picture of instructional impact for each educator in our state. The Best for All strategic plan has three key components: academics, whole child, and educators. All three are focused on setting students on a path to success. Our goal for educators is to make Tennessee the top state to become and remain a teacher and a leader. Effective use of the multi-measure team evaluation system creates a well-rounded picture of classroom practices. Student-generated measures are key to building a clear assessment of the impact a teacher's practices have on students and for co-creating action plans for continuous improvement. In this module, we will investigate the following topics associated with measure selection and scaling. These include evaluation data collection, growth and achievement measures, educator types and weighting, measure selection, alignment, and scaling, adding measures to T-Encompass, and strategies for success. Accurate data collection is critical for all components of the team evaluation system. We will discuss the types of data available for both growth and achievement measures. Additionally, we will review guidance on measure selection as well as achievement measure scaling. The Tennessee Educator Acceleration Model, also known as the Team Evaluation Model for Tennessee, has three required components: observation scores, growth scores, and achievement scores. All of these combine to generate a level of overall effectiveness, or LOE, score for each educator. Growth scores are identified by evaluators, while achievement scores are identified by educators. Both should be clearly aligned to the educator's teaching assignment. Additionally, option student survey data may be used for up to 5% of an observation data average. All data is collected in T-Encompass. T-Encompass is the database used to house evaluation data for all Tennessee educators. Each evaluator must be given specific role-based permissions in T-Encompass to access evaluation data. Growth and achievement measures comprise a significant proportion of each educator's LOE. Each measure has a customized weighting within Team for the different educator types. We will now review measure types, followed by a section devoted to measure weighting. A growth score measures a student's actual academic gains against his or her expected gains. Growth scores may be generated from TVOS tests or portfolios or alternatives to portfolio. Individual growth scores are generated from grade or subject-specific TVOS testing. Individual growth scores based on TVOS testing may include up to 3 years of data when available. Individual growth scores generated by portfolios or alternatives to portfolio include only 1 year of data. Composite growth scores are generated from combining test scores from multiple subjects. Composite growth scores also include only 1 year of data. Achievement scores measure how well a student performs against a standard. Achievement measures may be generated in a variety of ways and, unless related to state testing, are scaled at the local level. We will explore scale setting more deeply in a few moments. Achievement measures are always a single-year measure regardless of the individual measure selection. State Board Policy 5.201 states that an achievement measure must be closely related to an educator's assignment. Now we will review the weightings associated with educator types. Our first example is a tested teacher. Educators in this category generate an individual growth score from either a TVOS test or a portfolio or alternative growth measure. For tested teachers who receive individual TVOS scores or implement student growth portfolios, the evaluation model uses the following weights to calculate LOE. 50% of the score is from classroom observations, 35% of the score is from TVOS testing or student growth portfolio or alternative growth measure, and 15% of the score is from an approved achievement measure. Our second example is a non-tested teacher. Educators in this category receive a composite growth score. For non-tested teachers who receive a composite TVOS score, the evaluation model uses the following weights to calculate LOE. 70% of the score is from classroom observations, 15% of the score is from school or system-wide TVOS testing, and 15% of the score is from an approved achievement measure. Our last example is an administrator. Educators in this category use a composite score for growth. For administrators, the evaluation model uses the following weights to calculate LOE. 50% of the score is from leader observations, 35% of the score is from school-wide TVOS testing, and 15% of the score is from an approved achievement measure. Let's explore best practices and measure alignment, selection, and scaling. Measure selections are grade band specific and should closely align to the individual teacher's assignment. Guidance for both types of measure selection can be found on the team-tn.org website. The team-tn.org website has guidance on both growth and achievement measure selections. We encourage all educators to familiarize themselves with these guidance documents during the measure selection process. All growth measures except feeder custom measures automatically populate in T-Encompass once TVOS data is released. There are 5 types of growth measures available to all educators: individual value-added scores known as TVOS, individual student growth portfolio or alternative growth measures, school-level TVOS composites, district-level TVOS composites, and feeder or custom school or district-level TVOS. All teachers must select a school-wide growth score measure in T-Encompass. Those teachers anticipating an individual growth score must still select a school-wide measure as a backup in case the individual growth score does not generate. If an individual growth score is generated, it will be auto-populated as the educator's growth measure. District and school leadership determines the appropriate school-wide growth measures for all staff, and these selections should align as closely as possible to the educator's assignment. A school-wide focus may be used to guide the growth selection for non-tested teachers. As building leaders reflect on the best choices for school-wide growth assignments for teachers, this chart offers some possible appropriate selections based on teaching assignments. However, this chart is not all-inclusive. There are other viable choices besides those listed on this slide. School leaders are encouraged to select a school-wide growth measure that most closely relates to the teacher's teaching assignment. The State Board of Education has approved a list of achievement measures available to educators by grade band, and the department produces a list of these measures based on the test to be given for the school year. Achievement measures must be scaled at the local level unless the educator chooses a measure based on that year's TVOS testing. Most achievement measures are entered locally. TVOS scores auto-populate. While achievement measures are selected by the educator, the evaluator has the right to question the selection and has the sole responsibility to set the scale for the measure. Evaluators should guide the educator to an appropriate measure that is closely related to the educator's teaching assignment. In the case of disagreement, there is a mediation process available through the department. Here is a general list of approved achievement measures. For a specific list by grade band, please refer to Policy 5.201 posted on the team-tn.org website or the Achievement Measure Worksheet also posted on the website. As teachers select their achievement measure, this chart offers some possible appropriate selection based on teaching assignments. However, this chart is not all-inclusive. There are other viable choices. School leaders are encouraged to guide teachers to an achievement measure selection that most closely relates to the teaching assignment of the educator. Achievement measures are scaled at the local level. In most cases, these are scaled at the district or school level, but it is possible to scale measures by grade band, grade, or occasionally even classroom. The key to choosing where the measure should be scaled lies in identifying which students are included in the data and the impact of the instructional decisions that will be made as a result of the test results. Achievement measure scaling is dependent upon past performance. Level 3 at expectations is based on past performance. Levels 4 and 5 should exceed prior performance, and levels 1 and 2 should indicate a decrease from past performance. The range of each level depends on how close prior performance is to the expected target. Here is an example of how a district might scale graduation rate as an achievement measure. Scales should be set and communicated prior to measure selection. In this example, The school's graduation rate from the previous year was 86%. The corresponding scale is shown. This type of scaling could be used on any points-based achievement measure scale. Again, starting with level 3, the range for ED expectations is based on prior performance. Therefore, level 3 is 85 to 87%. Level 2 is 84 to 83%, and level 1 is 82% and below. Level 4 then scales up to 88 to 89%, and level 5 is defined as 90% and above. AMO targets are yearly targets for improving performance based on prior year results. School and district AMO targets set the expectations that schools and districts will decrease the percent of students not meeting the standard by half over the course of 8 years. Double AMO targets set the expectation that the percent of students not meeting the standard will decrease by half in 4 years. AMO targets are rounded to 1 decimal place. The department only sets AMO targets when a school or district has 30 or more valid tests in the prior year. To scale an AMO as an achievement measure, start with the prior performance of a cohort. This might be a grade band, subject, or grade level cohort. Use the AMO for the incoming group of students. The AMO target is determined by subtracting prior performance from 100, the ultimate goal, and dividing it by 8 times 2. This represents the expectations for schools and districts to decrease the percentage of students not reaching the standard by half over the course of 8 years. Then the prior performance is added back to define the new AMO for the current year. The double AMO target is determined by subtracting prior performance from 100 and dividing it by 4 times 2. This represents the expectations for schools or districts to decrease the percentage of students not reaching the standard by half over the course of 4 years. Then the prior performance is added back to define the new AMO for the current year. In this example, prior performance was 65%. The double AMO target is 69.4%. Level 1 represents prior performance. Level 3 was determined by the AMO calculation. Level 5 was determined by the double AMO calculation. Level 2 uses the range between prior performance and AMO. Level 4 uses the range between AMO and double AMO. The difference between the target, level 3, and double the target, level 5, is 2.2%. This will be the interval between levels 3 and 1 as well. All ranges for level 2 and 4 fall between these values. AMO targets are rounded to 1 decimal place. This is another example of how to calculate scaling based on AMOs. In this case, prior performance was 25%, which means the AMO target was 29.7%. All AMO targets are rounded to 1 decimal place. It is important that all measure selections and scaling be added to T-Encompass prior to the deadline published by the department each fall. The guidance on importing growth and achievement measures may be accessed from the TEAM website. The Import Wizard will walk you through the import process for growth and achievement measures. The steps are outlined above. This flowchart is a visual representation of the steps you will follow in the Import Wizard. To confirm all measure selections have been correctly imported, run the Growth and Achievement Selections report in T-Encompass. Once this report generates, check to ensure all educators have both a growth and achievement measure selection and that all achievement measures are appropriately scaled. There are several recommended strategies to ensure district and building leaders successfully implement measure selection for all educators in a timely manner. It is important that all school leaders know who serves as the district's evaluation configurer and that they receive the human capital update and other department newsletters to stay abreast of deadlines and other important information coming from the department. The team-tn.org website has several resources to support measure selection. Additionally, leaders may email team.questions@tn.gov or support@tncompass.org with specific questions or issues related to measure selection. Thank you for ensuring educators have an appropriate growth and achievement measure each year to accurately reflect the impact of instructional practices on student outcomes.